Hello, I'm Father Bill Watson. In a previous Ask Father Bill, we were asked, what is at the heart of the spiritual exercises? We discerned that at the heart of the spiritual exercises is humility and growth in humility, which is so essential so that we can hear and follow the will of God in our lives. I ran across an example of St. Ignatius putting this teaching into practice with a priest who had entered the order. The account is recorded in a book called the Memoriale of Conclavis de Camera. De Camera was the minister in the house in the last years of St. Ignatius's life. De Camera spent a year recording the words and actions of St. Ignatius for the many Jesuits he knew who would never meet him in person. It was kind of like reality TV. This account I am about to give you is about how St. Ignatius dealt with a priest whom he judged lacked humility and obedience. I think it's hilarious from any perspective, but it shows the humanity of St. Ignatius, his resolve to form Jesuits rightly, and his mercy when lessons are learned. So here is the story from De Camera. Quote, Soldevilla, a priest and theologian, was Catalan by birth and had the reputation among our fathers in Rome of being a spiritual and devout man. This father adopted his own way of dealing with spiritual matters, one different from the society's usual method, and he passed it on secretively to other members of the community. His fabrications were pernicious, not only to the soul, because they detached subjects from their obedience, but also to the body. I recall Peter Silvius, a Fleming who was at that time a simple brother, a man of extraordinary humility, obedience, and gentleness, and blessed with many other natural and acquired virtues. He later became a great worker and doctor of theology and lived and died in the society, giving great edification. Father Soldevilla, however, drove him to such extremes with his doctrine that as a result of the enormous and prolonged violence which he imposed on the imagination of Father Villius, he was unable to speak for a long time and became completely befuddled, so that there was no hope that he would live. When our Father Ignatius heard what had happened, he applied the following remedy. He ordered the priest, Father Soldevilla, as a penance, both in the residence and in the college, to go to the refectory stripped to the waist and to discipline himself wearing angel wings on his shoulders, which Father Ignatius ordered to be made especially for this occasion. And Father was to repeat the words, no flying without wings, or these, since I don't actually recall well, I ask you pardon of all of you because I wanted to fly without wings. And after he had given Father Ignatius this satisfaction in the penance, Father Ignatius expelled him immediately from the society. Then when Father Soldevilla recognized his fault and found himself out in the world, he decided, as in other ways he was a good man, to ask mercy of our Father so that he would readmit him. To prove his amendment, he went to work in a hospital, and for the 4 or 5 months he was there, gave such edification and showed such signs of repentance that at the end of this period he was freely admitted to the society, and from then on our Father Ignatius placed more trust in him than before. So much so that a few days later he appointed him minister of the house. I succeeded him in that same post. Our Father sent him to give instruction in cases of conscience in Naples. I thought it very appropriate to recount here the rigor with which Father Ignatius treated this culprit and the benign spirit which Father Ignatius showed him when he was contrite. End of quote. In a sermon on the Beatitudes, Pope St. Leo the Great says this about humility at the end of his reflection, quote, concerning the content of Christ's teaching, his own sacred words bear witness. Thus, whoever longs to attain eternal blessedness can now recognize the steps that lead to that high happiness. Blessed, he says, are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. It might have been unclear to which poor he was referring if after the words, blessed are the poor, he had not added anything about the kind of poor he had in mind. For then the poverty that many suffer because of grave and harsh necessity might seem sufficient to merit the kingdom of heaven. But when he says, blessed are the poor in spirit, he shows that the kingdom of heaven is to be given to those who are distinguished by their humility of soul rather than by their lack of worldly goods. End of quote. So may each of us learn humility of soul, seeking never to fly without those wings, and find a way to daily amend our ways so as to gain happiness and so serve the eternal glory of God. May it be so, and I hope that helps.